very clear that we needed to have a high-performance environment in the Royal Ballet. So what we have there is something that you'd all be familiar with in your own sports, with a fully equipped gym. We've introduced a force plate, wireless EMG, accelerometer. So we're starting to pull together some really good data, sports science data around the dancers themselves. We tie that in then with Pilates, with the physiotherapy, as I mentioned, nutrition and psychology. And the idea is to pull the dancer into the middle of this process and then empower them to start to direct their own performance enhancing elements, but also if they're injured, then to help direct their injury pathway as well, or their rehabilitation pathway. And so this season as well, we brought in a whole swathe of testing, so profiling for the dancers. And this is all now on a database, which was the next new thing we've introduced, which is brand new into a dance company. We're working with a company called Fusion Sports, so we have a smarter-based system. And so we're now starting to access a whole lot of data built up around the company. But the power of that is that the dancers also access that on their app. So they can see their medical notes, they can see their physio notes. And they can start to interact with that information in a meaningful way about how can they get better, how can they make their jump higher, how can they make their arabesque that much more elegant, and then where do they need to go to try and access services to achieve that. So it's about pulling in that sort of data, technology, sports science, plus all the soft skills from the staff, and pulling them around the dancer and then empowering them to be the best dancer they possibly can be.
So it's both. It's increased the performances, but also prevent injuries.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, that's where we'd like to get to. And the nice thing about the database is that we're starting to now look at some of those trends. And in my blue sky vision, I'd like to try and look at exposure statistics, exposure data, which I think in sport is one of the golden eggs to try and get to. But if we could get to a point where we can look across the whole repertoire of the Royal Ballet at what the load is looking like for dancers in certain positions, whether they be principals or quarter ballet, and then say, okay, we've got Swan Lake coming up. We know there's going to be an injury spike for the quarter ballet females, so let's put in place something that's going to try and mitigate that as much as possible and try and manage that in a way that I think will be really beneficial for the dancers.